Mum analysed her face for a few agonising heartbeats. "Okay, you can..." Artemis didn't let her finish her sentence, flying past the moment the first word left her mother's mouth. She sprinted through the hallway, taking their carpeted stairs 3 at a time on her way down, and threw open the front door breathless and red-faced. The postman blinked to her in shock, his green eyes wide, before holding out a parcel for Dad in a single solitary envelope. "This has to be it." Artemis snatched them from his hands and shut the door before running to the kitchen, barreling past Dad on her way to the breakfast table. "One letter has you forgetting your manners, huh?" He laughed from his position at the stove, his deep voice easily carrying over the onions he had sizzling in his pan. "You should have thanked him for the delivery." "I'll promise I'll apologise to him tomorrow." Artemis wanted to sigh with relief as she held the envelope to her chest. As soon as she first touched it, she could tell it was the only one she'd been waiting these past 12 weeks for. From how her details were written in perfect calligraphy on the front to the way it felt so heavy in her hands. There was no way it could be a rejection. Dad watched as she leaned backwards and took a knife from the cutlery drawer, his obsidian eyes alight with intrigue. Her hands trembled lightly as she placed the envelope in front of her, the gold paper stark against the black countertop. She cut a neat vertical line at the top and slid out a single letter on a dense pack of other papers. Dad said, "Read it out loud so I can hear." "Dear Artemis Garrett Coleman, we are delighted to welcome you to Carlisle Academy." Her vision blurred, and hot tears rolled down her cheeks. She made it. The highest grades, passing 3 separate aptitude tests, and a flawless performance in the entry exams were all prerequisites to being accepted at the school. Carlisle Academy somehow managed to be stingier than both Oxford and Cambridge combined, and it wasn't even a university. Quick footsteps echoed from the staircase outside that she didn't doubt were her younger brother's, but Artemis couldn't focus on anything besides the letter in her hands. Dad came over, the faint scent of food clinging to his vest, and wrapped his russet arms around her. "I hope those are happy tears, Jay. I'm so proud of you." They weren't happy tears, though. Not entirely. But Artemis couldn't tell him that because then he would ask why she wasn't elated to be going to one of the highest-ranking schools in the country. Why she wasn't dancing on the kitchen table and screaming from the top of her lungs because she'd gotten a full scholarship. In truth, she'd have preferred it not to have come to this. Artemis would have given everything she had and then some to rewind time back to 6 months ago, before she found out the hard way that life was a fickle and precarious thing. That at any moment people could be taken away from you, sometimes little by little over time or in the blink of an eye. There were so many things she wanted to say to Jared before he was snatched from her, so many things they had left to do, and so many places he'd promised they'd see together. Artemis could never forget what happened no matter how hard she tried. He was the sweetest boy she'd ever met, her first real boyfriend, and she had to watch him die. Her whole body tensed as phantom snarls echoed in her ears, and images she tried so hard to bury flashed through her mind. Her tight grip on the Rocky Mountains face, Jared's mischievous grin as he adjusted his harness, and how their group's rope shook so hard Artemis thought the nylon would snap clean in two and send them all tumbling more than 900 feet down the north face of Ben Nevis. "Mom!" her 9-year-old brothers yelled in unison from the stairs, yanking her from her thoughts. "Jay got into a new school." Artemis and Dad looked at each other, the same panic flashing across their faces at the sound of Mum's steps coming down from the living room. He was the first to recover. "Calm down. We always knew your mother was going to find out sooner or later." "I would have preferred never," Artemis said, a layer of sweat forming at the nape of her neck as her brothers ran upstairs and left her to deal with the fallout. "What am I going to say? I should have known you would help her apply to that place behind my back." Mum's voice was perfectly level as she stood across the breakfast table from them. It was the kind of calm that came before thunder and hail, the silence before a towering wave crashed over your ship and swallowed its whole. "I told you I didn't like that school." Dad sighed. "That's not enough, Maureen."